So it is already time again for our July market update, and make sure to stick around to the end because we're going to go over all of these numbers, try to explain to you what they mean, help you have a better understanding of the current market here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Days on market are very simply how many days a home was actively listed for sale before it went pending here in Knoxville on the MLS. Now, when I give numbers, understand I'm only giving numbers for 1 to 4 family residents for residential in Knox County only. So days on market in July were 21.2 days. Now, if we compare that to last month, that number last month was 25.9 days. If we go back to May, that number was 26.1 days. And if we go all the way back to January of this year, that number was 33.4. So what do we see? From the first of the year all the way through this month, we see a steady decrease in the days on market. It's very normal for the days on market to drop during the summer months as people move between kids being in and out of school. If we compare July of this year with July of 23, what we see is that days on market actually increased slightly from 20.7 up to 21.2. Here's what this number really means. People are getting a little bit better at pricing the homes, and even if they are pricing their homes a little more realistically, to begin with, they're dropping that price quicker so that the home goes ahead and sells. So we're seeing the market adjust to the typical 3 to 5% appreciation rate increases year over year that I said we're going to see this year, and we are seeing. So what is sold to original list price? Sold to original list price is very simply that if someone puts a home on the market originally, what percent of that does the home actually sell for when it closes? In July of 24, that number was 98%. In June, it was 98.3. If we look back year over year to begin with, that number has dropped 1%. It was 99 last year in July. It's 98 this year in July. So very similar. If we look at the trend as well, that trend has stayed consistent. In January, it was 96.8. May was 98.5%. It means coming into Knoxville looking for a deal on a home that's in a good location, that's priced anywhere close to appropriately, you're not going to buy that home for 10% below market. It's just unrealistic. So what are active listings? At the end of July, we had 1,188 homes in Knox County actively listed for sale. That number has increased a little bit over June, where it was 1,094. It is very normal to see an increase in listings as we work into spring and selling season. If we look at that trend, just to summarize that as we get halfway into this year like we have, we went from 778 active listings in June of 23 to 778 active listings of July 23. Same number, believe it or not. And if we look at that, it went to 932 in January, 1,004 in May, 1,094 in June, and 1,188 in July. So we are seeing an increase. People are realizing that waiting to sell until rates come back down so they can swap their 3% rate for a 3 or 4% rate again just isn't realistic. It isn't going to happen. Everybody's starting to adjust to the new normal, and we're starting to slowly see people put homes on the market again, which is fantastic for the Knoxville market. Now let's follow up our active listings with looking at the newly listed homes that hit the market in the month of July. And that number at the end of July of this year, yesterday, 866 homes hit the market in the month of July. That's up a little bit over June. It was 834. That both numbers are down a little bit over May, which is typical. May's a big listing month, when it was 906. If we look at year over year, last year in June, it was 755 in 23. In July, it was 754. So we were holding very still in that 750 range. Now we're holding pretty steady in the mid-8s, looking like we've picked up about 100 new listings a month over this summer months, which is good news. So absorption rate. We talk about that in every video. Just as a reminder, absorption rate is very simply this. If no new homes get listed beginning today, how long will it take for the market to absorb everything that's actively on the market? That number at the end of July was 2 months. We saw it in June at 1.84 1.24. If we look at year over year, last June and last July, 1.24 months. End of January of this year, we saw that number at 1.67 months. We saw it increase in May up to 1.71. We are all glad to see that absorption rate start the process of trending its way toward more of a balanced market. If we look at our pricing here in Knoxville, we use the median sold price. What does that mean? It's not an average. It means that 50% of the homes in Knoxville sold above this number, 50% of the homes in Knoxville sold below this number. That number in July of this year was $393,500. So how does that compare? Well, if we look at last month, it looks like it came down a little bit because it was $399,450. The month before that, May, though, it was $389,450. And back in January, it was $384,900. What we're seeing is a slight trend. Pricing is still increasing, there's no doubt, here in Knoxville, but we have definitely seen a nice leveling out of those price increases back to what's normal. If you go back and watch the videos over the winter that I did, I said I really believe we're going to see 2 to 5% in 2024. We're going to see the market return to what's normal. We have huge demand. We still have very tight supply, and our builders are nowhere close to overbuilding the area. So if we go back and compare that to this year, July 23, the median sold price was $374,900. As I said earlier, the median sold price here in Knoxville in July of this year was $393,500. That represents a 4.9% increase year over year. So right at the top of what I thought we would be at, 2 to 5, right at that 5%. What these numbers tell me is that the market is healthy here in Knoxville, Tennessee. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so below. If you found these helpful, leave us a comment. Give us any advice that you'd like or any questions that you have. We'll be glad to answer those. And until next time, guys, I can't wait to see you around Knoxville really soon.